Standing up in McKinney. This is According to Callus. Episode 481. We're going to have some updates for you today. It is August the 24th, 2023. And yes, I missed Wednesday. The physical and mental exhaustion just caught up with me and I had to tap out. I missed the day. I am so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. But we're here now. We're going to do a little makeup work and hopefully have a nice show for you on Friday to cap off the week. All right, as I always say, do me a solid. Like, share, and subscribe to this here program. Join me over on Facebook. I have both a page and a group. I do show up at MeWe and Gab. And for the time being, I am still on YouTube. Check it out. If you're particularly motivated, you can rate and review this program as well. I know I have a whopping 4 listeners out there at this point, but hey, they're doing the lion's share of the work. We're closing in on the 200K downloads here, and I would really appreciate the help, ladies and gentlemen. All right, here we go. Item number 1 in the updates. McKinney ISD, you may recall on Monday, I talked about the fact that it appeared as if the lack of interest in listening to the actual constituents, that is the parents of the children in the schools, necessitated them eliminating individual emails to the individual members of the school board. Now, I got to say, I am not privy to how and why this happened, but apparently by Tuesday afternoon, the original email lists, or accesses, if you will, were restored. When I checked with Chad Green on it, his comment was, perhaps my lawyer scared them. You got to love it, man. You got to love it. This is the world we live in today. You have to get a lawyer to get the government to do the job that they ought to be doing in the first place. I mean, look, I don't believe in quote-unquote democracy. I believe we live in a representative republic. We democratically elect our representatives, and if we can't actually get a hold of our representatives, how in the world can they represent us? You need not look any further than some of our local state reps. Yes, they've been called out and pointed out on this great video that's been going around courtesy of Texas Scorecard. If you don't believe me, go take 10 minutes and watch it. Now, I know some of my guys, right? Some of the people on my team, the Republican Party, are not happy with this. I get it. And some of the people in Collin County not really excited about the fact that at least 2 of the people that represent Collin County got called out. But I'm here to tell you, there are 2 sides to every story. I would love to hear their side of the story, right? If you, the state reps, feel like you've been wronged, you've been mistreated, well, then come and tell us what your side of the story is. I really would like to know. I pride myself on being as objective as possible without jumping to wild conclusions. So I would love to hear what their side of the story is. I encourage them. Come and tell us. You can show up in an executive committee meeting for the Republican Party. You can call me up directly, 214-405-1852, and I will put you in front of 20 to 50 people, depending on how many people are interested to hear what you have to say, at the next meeting of the Collin County Patriots. It's not that hard. We can do this, gentlemen, ladies. I'm curious. Will they do it? I don't know. And if you don't like me, that's fine. You can call up Mike Giles. I know you state reps out there all know who Mike Giles is, and he would be ready and willing to listen to whatever you have to say. We are all supposed to be on the same team. It just seems that some of the people on our team don't see it as a team. Now, I've talked about this many, many times, right? There's the evil party, there's the stupid party. I belong to the stupid party. This is nothing new. This is nothing unique in me saying this. I wholeheartedly agree with multiple people that have said it. So don't give me any credit here. I am clearly stealing that from somebody else. But what do I mean by the stupid party? Well, in case you hadn't seen, apparently, the Texas Young Republicans have decided to disaffiliate with the Texas Republican Party. Now, I'm sure there are lots of reasons for this. I'm sure that this is not some kind of petty grandstanding thing going on here. I couldn't see that happening. But I'm also equally sure this has a whole lot to do with the fact that the chairman of the Texas Republican Party, Matt Rinaldi, endorsed the opponent from our very own Hayden Padgett. Now, I don't know what all of his reasons are. I'm sure that if you were to take the time out to call Hayden Padgett, he could tell you all about his side of the story. Likewise, I'm sure if you call Matt Rinaldi, he'd be happy to spell out why he thought the other candidate was better. Now, to be fair, the convention was in Texas. Hayden lives in Texas. So it seems to me it would have been a foregone conclusion that he could and should have won. So I'm not really sure why we decided to have our party chairman endorse the other person. But I'm sure there are reasons. But that's also normal. That happens. Consider this like a primary. People pick sides in primaries. They get all in on who their favorite candidate is. I've always been up front. Look, when Chris Hill was running and somebody was running against him, I was all in for Chris Hill. When Daryl Hill was running and he was running against somebody else, it didn't matter what I thought about the other person. I'm all for Daryl Hill. I'm sure there's going to be other primary races where I'm going to feel that strongly. Then there are other primary races where I don't have a strong opinion. I think, well, the candidates are okay. Nobody really strikes my fancy. Not overly impressed or turned off by any one of them. So I'm going to let it ride a little bit. I'm going to do a little more investigation. I'm going to kind of sort out who I think is the better candidate on the margins. And then maybe later I'll come in and make a commentary on it or something. Well, that's part of the process, ladies and gentlemen. So it is not uncommon for other elected officials or party officers to weigh in on who their preferred candidate is in a primary. It's dangerous. It can backfire. It can cause friction, and it can cause splits. If you doubt me, well, just look at my very own Collin County Republican Party. We're busy fighting over a primary that happened a year and a half ago. The person that wanted to win didn't win, and now apparently the number of people are quite upset about that still are trying to, morph the party into what they want. And hey, they have every right to do that. I'm not offended by it, but let's not be coy. Let's not pretend that we don't know what's going on here. Now, whether or not it is with the blessing or the foreknowledge of the former candidate that did not win the primary, I don't know. But the truth be told, I don't hate anybody for doing this. This is how the process works. 10 years ago, when I got involved in the Republican Party, I was quite disappointed about a lot of different things. And I got involved. I got interested in certain things. I started to weigh in on things. I started to help and volunteer with people. I started to do certain things. And guess what? Over time, with my credibility, with my efforts, with my strength of character, whatever you want to say, I've gotten some traction. I've gotten some people to listen and care what I have to say. And it's gotten me a little moral authority, if you will. That's how the game is played. That's how the work gets done. You have to put in the effort. You have to fight for what you believe in. The odd thing is most of the differences are like degrees of difference. Everybody in the Republican Party, I shouldn't say everybody. Okay, most everybody in the Republican Party has the same or similar goals. The only differences are the personality or the methods. What methodology do I want to use in order to accomplish this goal? What person should lead this attack in order to win this goal? Okay. Well, if that's all we got, then the guy to my right and the guy to my left are not my enemies. They're my co-belligerents, and we should treat each other like that. But apparently, there are some that don't think that's the appropriate way to do it, and I'm really sad about that. Now, maybe I shouldn't get too deep in this, and maybe I'm not doing anybody any credit, but I got to tell you, we got the Texas Young Republicans disaffiliating from the Texas Republican Party, and in turn, the Dallas Young Republicans are talking about disaffiliated from the Texas Young Republicans. I mean, what's next? Are we going to have the Collin County Republican Party say that, no, we don't want to be aligned with either one of you guys going forward? We're going to leave the Texas Republican Party, or we're going to kick out all the Collin County Young Republicans? God, I hope not. I mean, just how stupid is that? We're talking about degrees of difference here, ladies and gentlemen. We're supposed to be on the same page. Now, I know some of this is probably show. I get it. Some of this is probably nothing more than a political statement. Okay, fine. I get that too. But why would we be doing this? Oh, that's right, because we're coming up on primary season again. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We have a primary in a little over 6 months. So it's that time of year. Now the party gets to divide and fight amongst themselves until we settle down on which our next candidates are going to be to go represent us. And then we're going to take that next 6 months, March to, October, to salve it all over and pretend we're all on the same team now because the primary's over, and go win in November. I got to tell you, it's a little tiresome. I wish we could solve some of these things, I don't know, with gentlemen's agreements, if nothing else. I wish we could agree we're on the same team, and, maybe it's for the best of the party that you run this time and this person runs the next time. Or maybe it's you should run for this and you should run for that. Yeah, I know that's kind of shades of the backdoor dealing, car-filled rooms, whatever. Yeah, okay, maybe. But if you want to put forth a unified front and you want to put forth a organized party, sometimes you got to make some compromise. Sometimes you got to make some deals. And that's not always for the best, but it's certainly not from the worst. I mean, if you're going to spend all your time fighting your fellow co-belligerents, how are you possibly going to win anything? And then, of course, it's going to devolve into the blame game. Well, it's your fault. No, it's your fault. It's my fault. No, it's your fault. It's the party's fault. It's this group's fault. It's this pack that got involved. It's their fault. It's everybody's fault. You know what? It's all our fault. We couldn't take the time out to realize we're on the same team. We need to recognize those couple of degrees of difference help us be stronger long term because it helps us sharpen each other in our skills and our knowledge. But we all want the same things. So we got to set aside the personality. Sometimes we got to set aside preferences, actually most of the time, now that I think about it, and focus on the principles, on the goals. What do we want to do and how do we want to do it? Okay, is this person adequate? Is this person doing a good job? Okay, well, rather than spending a lot of time and effort flaming that person and trying to destroy them, why don't we focus on something that we could do better with? Again, getting into inside game here, I really should avoid it. I'm sorry. But it just amazes me that we spend so much time beating up on each other. And, I don't mind being a target on occasion. I don't mind being on the ire of certain people because, quite frankly, they're a problem. Some of them are. They see me as a problem. Okay, so let's talk. But you know what happens? They don't. I'm always open and willing to talk to somebody, whether they agree with me or disagree with me. I've even chatted with the mayor that holds me in disdain. Now, a 3-minute cordial conversation does not equate to negotiating the greater terms of the city of McKinney. No, I'm not going to say that. I am never, ever going to see that happen. But if you can't treat people nicely, if you can't be cordial, if you can't be friendly to everybody, how do you expect to change any hearts and minds? If you spend all your time going after somebody that has virtually identical goals as you, let me ask you, could it be that you're the problem? Okay, that's all. That's all I got on that update, right? The party in disarray again. We've already talked about McKinney ISD, so what else is new? Oh, that's right. How many of you have been paying attention? Yep, they're still trying to get that airport built. Now, they found a different way to fund it, allegedly. You should go take some time and look into that. I'm be curious to see where that money's coming from and how it's being acquired. I'm not saying anything bad is happening there because I really don't know. But I keep hearing whispers and hints that certain things are coming. I'm just curious. Now, some of our more enterprising listeners out there, you might be the sleuths and the gurus of the internet. Help us out here. Do your little thing there, right? Your research, and tell us what you find. I'm curious. And speaking of things that I'm curious about, still waiting for an actual cause of the fires in Maui. While we're at it, we're still waiting on what happened in Nashville. While we're at it, we're still waiting on what happened in Las Vegas. While we're at it, well, you get why I drift here, right? Oh, yes, and for those of you that think that 2024 is going to be different, got news for you. Oh, that's right. We're going to ramp up the latest version of COVID for you, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, and perhaps we'll just have more voting from at home, more mail-in ballots, and hey, quite frankly, while we're at it, let's just go ahead and shut down the whole world again. And oh, yes, by the way, now we're going to mandate shots. And, oh, well, you got to cover your face. Oh, does this sound familiar? That's right. Tyranny returns. Talk about an update. Now, look, I don't want you to take my word for it. And as a matter of fact, I implore you, do your own research. Okay, you don't like Alex Jones, you don't trust him, that's fine. You think Doug Hagman's a crank? Okay, that's fine. Go do your own research. Do not trust me. I have zero interest in going through this again. I have zero interest in watching another fraudulent election. I have zero interest in having medical procedures done to me that are completely unneeded. I have zero interest in watching my country be destroyed from within. That is a far more pressing and concerning problem in my life, in my world, in my opinion, than the degrees of difference between somebody that's on my team. Yet I got to tell you, when you talk to the average person on the street, I do, I assume you do, they know very little about any of this. And quite frankly, most of them don't care. They think we're in Texas and we're in the greatest place since, ever. And honestly, they're not far from wrong. And they think that, our governor's going to try and do the right thing, and he's fighting against Joe Biden, and, he's doing the best he can to protect the border, and he's doing the best he can to end all the trafficking and the slavery. And, he really cares about Texans, and we're not going to go along with this lockdown nonsense again. He's on our side. Well, I hope to God these people are right. I really do. I don't know. I imagine you don't know any more than I know. I'm hopeful. I'm holding on to the idea that maybe we learned something. Maybe we won't make the same mistake again. Unfortunately, the same people are largely in charge across our country that were 5 years ago. And I have very little faith that we won't see the same thing again. And if they can pull it off yet again, what makes you think it's ever going to stop? It's depressing, I know. But if we're going to talk about updates, that's one of the updates we need to be aware of. This stuff's going to come back again. And we're not prepared. We're too busy fighting amongst ourselves to realize who the enemy is and what they're up to. I just want to take the vast majority of the people I know, grab them by the shoulders gently, and shake them just enough to snap out of what is. I don't want to assault anybody, so let's be, I don't want to commit battery. But look, you guys got to wake up out there. You got to snap out of it. I don't care if you voted for Biden or not. I really don't. But if you think that we're going to get a better gig or a better outcome this time because the Democrat's in charge versus the other guy, I got news for you. It's probably going to be far worse. And for those of you that are out there that are the Trumpsters, right? You believe he's going to save us all. Well, let me tell you. He might win the primary. In fact, I expect he's going to win all the primaries. He's going to run the board. I expect that we're going to get Donald Trump 2.0 and whoever second place is. Really doesn't matter. And guess what? I imagine we're going to see one of two things. The orchestrated destruction of that man and somebody taking place. I don't know if it'll be Michelle or if it'll be Gavin. I'm not sure which is worse. Or they allow for the Donald to get term 2 only to destroy him the entire time he's president again. And quite frankly, I don't think either outcome is a positive thing. I don't think either outcome is something we should be looking forward to. Even if the Donald wins, which, is kind of the least bad option in my opinion, do you really think anything's going to be significantly better or different this time around? I don't think the guy is going to be the Protestant Franco that some people apparently are calling for. I don't think that he is the savior of the Western civilization. But I certainly know that he's light years better than any of the options with the D after their last name. So what does that mean? What are we watching? Well, I don't know. I really don't know. As always, it's likely orchestrated. It's likely you just play acting, and we get to make our quasi-informed choices of who the lesser of two evils are and hope for the best. But I'm not holding my breath, ladies and gentlemen, nor should you. There's a whole lot going on. And I've done the one thing that I try to avoid is delve into nationwide politics. But I'd be a fool if I ignored the fact that we got this going on right under our noses. And I mean, we had the first debate, and apparently it was underwhelming. And then the Donald wins because he went and talked to Tucker. Okay. I mean, if that's what you want to do, I'm curious as which got better ratings. I guess I don't even need to look to know. But let me ask you. Do you really think you're going to fix anything by voting harder? Do you think anything of any significance has changed to give you a better outcome than what we got in 2020? What I can tell you is we spent a whole lot of time picking fights with each other, challenging each other, tormenting each other to get them to move that 1 degree over to come closer to what we think. For what? For what? If you doubt me, consider this. Collin County on the whole is 58% Republicans. Some would say 55, some would say 60. I'm just going to stick with 58. If that's the case, why is it we can't win local elections? I already know the answer. I've already told you the answer. But why is it the people that ought to care most can't see that? The people that are most upset about this can't figure it out. I'll tell you why, in my opinion. They're not willing to set aside their preferences for the principle. They're not willing to look beyond their own desires. You want to talk about an update? Let me tell you, I'm very concerned about what's going to happen in this next year. I don't know how I can't be. Now, it is my hope against hopes that, Greg Abbott is going to find his intestinal fortitude and stand up and do the right thing, protect the state of Texas. It's my hope against hopes that Dan Patrick's going to do the right thing and not try and railroad Ken Paxton. And it's also my hope against all hopes that Ken Paxton will get back to work and actually fight the good fight against the feds, which are overreaching and abusing their power and making our lives miserable everywhere in all the states. Do I have a lot of faith that's going to happen? No. But that's all I got. That's what we're left with. I mean, look, I'm all for Texas independence, but if we can't even get our local state officials to do the jobs they were hired to do, I got to tell you, that leaves me to wonder, could we be just changing out one tyrant 1,000 miles away for hundreds of tyrants a couple hundred miles away? That should be really concerning to all of us. I still think it's the better choice. I still think it's a good option. I still think people ought to be able to be heard on that. For God's sake, why can't we have a vote? But I don't believe it's a panacea and it's going to fix everything either. The only thing that we can fix is the stuff right in front of us. And if we can't fix the stuff right in front of us, how do we expect anything out of Austin or, God forbid, D.C. is going to make anything better? We have misplaced concerns and misplaced priorities. We need to start right here, right now. When we're talking about updates, my update is this. My personal update. I got some things to get in order. I got some plans going forward. I've got lots of irons in the fire, and I'm going to keep working, and I'm going to keep doing everything I can to preserve the Republic, to defend the Republic, and to do what I can to preserve the Republican Party while it is still worthwhile. But at the end of the day, I am one person out of 1.2 million people in Collin County alone. And I want to know where the rest of you are at. I want to know what the rest of you are doing. What's your update? What are you doing? What are you involved with? I can't do it alone. 180 or 150 people that meet at the executive committee, we can't do it alone. We need all of us. That means some of you moderates out there, yeah, we don't hate you. I especially don't hate you. Look, we need you on our team. I'll give you a fair hearing. I'll listen to what you have to say. I'll agree to work with you on all the things we agree on and we can work together on. I won't call you names. I won't abuse you. But I expect you not to sell me out. I expect you not to stab me in the back when it becomes convenient or you're feeling weak. I expect you to treat me like a co-belligerent, just like I will do for you. Now, if you're a rhino, a squish, man, we need you too. We really do. But you got to buck up. You got to grow a spine. Or, I don't know, just gain some principles. Some of you guys out there, I don't know what your issue is. Toughen up. We'll work with you. There's plenty of things we can work on. Now, the leftists, the progressives, the wackadoo Democrats, nah, we're coming for you. We want to kick you out of power. And honestly, if I had my way, we'd send you back to California. You'll be much happier there. Perhaps New Jersey, New York, I don't know, Chicago. We would all be much happier if you went there. Now, we're going to not do it violently. We're not going to abuse you because, quite frankly, that's what your guys do. Your guys are the abusive ones. Your guys are the ones that show up with guns to make people do things. Not us. We'll be kind and generous as we show you the door. You're not helping us. You're working against us. You're ruining what made Texas special just because, well, I don't know why. Well, this got a little more adventurous of an episode than I anticipated. But look, join me again Friday and we'll do it some more. Until then, I will see you on the other side.